Welcome back to another installment of the Whiskey and Wisdom podcast. This is episode number 40. 4-0. We here, man. It's another great time with the fellas. Before we get started, man, go ahead and pour us up one time. Man, number 40. Seems like a long time coming, man, but we made it. How we doing, man? How's everybody doing in the room? How we doing?
Man, I'm blessed.
So we got, before we get too far, let me introduce us to those who haven't listened to us before. This is Tyrone speaking to you. I'm alongside my brothers. We got Bruce.
What up?
Got Mike.
Salutations.
And now I can tell you that I'm blessed. How we doing, man?
Hey. Yeah, but we good, man. We good, man. Glad you are too, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. It's been a long week, but I've been waiting for the day, so we made it through.
Absolutely, man. It's been a lot going on this week. A lot going on this week. But we're here. We're together. And
Hold on, I'm gonna start it like this real quick. It's still fuck Tory Lanez, man. Fuck him.
Still.
And everybody who fuck with him.
Still.
Yeah. I mean, it was a couple changes of hearts on that situation.
This ain't that game show that the game was on. Like, fuck a change of heart. Somebody got a bullet hole in their foot, and that shit ain't cool. Like, he corny for that, man. He not corny. He's a lame and everything else you want to call him. Like, get him up out of here.
I don't think it was a change of heart. I just think people just needed a little something to kind of hang they wrong ass opinions on, and he gave them the platform to do so. So people have been waiting for that for a long time. They've been waiting for him to come out and say something, and for him to cape for him again. But like my brother just said, man, fuck Tory Lanez. We don't like short niggas from Canada, no way.
Is it short or is it just Canada, Mike?
It might be all above, for real.
Yeah.
For me, it's both, yes. It's all the above. It's all the above.
Right, man. Well, before we get too deep into it, we always like to do the recap. If you're not following us on Instagram, please go ahead and hit that follow button. But we like to start the week off on Instagram with a question of the day. So this past week, the question was, have you ever been caught slipping by your parents or an adult as a teenager? So 67% of our listeners voted that they have been caught up in some situations. And the other 33% was like, nah, even if we indulge, we got away scot-free. So there you have it. 67% of the people listening to our voices right now is getting down and dirty.
Some of y'all lying. But it's all good, though. I ain't gonna call y'all, but some of y'all lying.
Supposed to be higher?
Fam. Yeah, for sure. We're not doing that.
Oh, man.
Some of y'all got caught up. Y'all don't want to admit it, but that's okay, though. It's cool. I get it.
I know some people on this podcast as well got caught up and want to hide it, but, I was the only one to indulge and telling people what happened with me.
Listen, I stand strong on my 33% of the side of the people, so I'm with y'all.
I got the scars to prove my ass whoopers. I'm good. I'm good. I ain't gonna lie. I got my ass plenty of times. You know what I mean? But speaking, it's funny though. I went home a couple weekends ago and had a conversation with my mom about, and she had a little box of stuff she's cleaning out of the house. You know how old people get. Oh, my bad. I ain't call my mom old. I'm sorry.
Yeah, correct that.
Please bring that back. We don't need no calls.
See, and no, she'll listen to podcasts. No way, thank God. But you know what people do when they get of a certain age, they want to start kind of getting things together. They want to start trying to enjoy them, their lives a little bit, and kind of get to that retirement age. And she gave me a box of old school documents, man, like old report cards from preschool.
Hold on, what kind of student was you? Was you an overachiever student or?
I was a smart student, but I talked a lot.
Oh, gotcha.
I was one of those curious students.
Disruptive mugs.
Yeah, he got some people's detention a couple of times.
For sure. But it's funny because I think a lot of times black students get thrown in that category sometimes a little uncharacteristically. And you know what I mean? Going back through those documents, those report cards, and that was kind of the common theme that I saw. Everything was great, was all satisfactory or, excellent, but it's just it's always that point of contention where he talks a lot. He's very talkative. And I can remember being a kid. I would always talk a lot. I would always have my friends in the class with me, so I would always find ways to have those kind of communications with my friends. And sometimes I didn't listen. You know what I mean? But as a black kid growing up, sometimes school wasn't always as fun. There were only moments and times where school was fun, where the teachers made it fun because they made it engaging, or there were teachers that I had that looked like me, so I gravitated more towards them. And I want to open the floor and ask you guys, if you can recall, how was your experience growing up as a kid in the educational system, like just going through elementary school, middle school, high school? Like, how was your experience, and how did you kind of see yourselves looking back now? Like, what kind of student were you in those schools, in those systems?
I mean, I guess earlier on, like grade school up until high school. I was a pretty, I was like the honor roll. My mom wanted to put all the honor roll certificates on the wall, so I was pretty active because I had parents that would come to school, or at least some. And I feel like when you have the type of engagement where you have people to celebrate the small wins and not just like the big accomplishments, it sort of helps through that process.
Right.
So I couldn't necessarily say it was a difficult time. Now when I become more of a younger adult, things shifted a bit, and it was less involvement at that point. But early on, it was cool. I liked the school and the people that I was surrounded around, and it just so happened that there was a lot of people that looked like me. I don't know if that. I mean, that's a contributing factor to a certain extent. But I was comfortable, and I had a support system that supported me through that time frame, where I felt that I didn't have to, I guess, act out for certain situations because I had attention at home.
That's valid. That's
So
valid.
I would say it was a good deal for me.
Okay. Bruce, what about you, brother?
I mean, for the most part, I was a good student. I would say, probably even kill more than anything. It wasn't like too spectacular, and it wasn't too down in the dumps, I would say. Always, just kind of focus on my work. If anything, it was like the homework I wasn't really into, type of thing.
Right.
If I look at my demographic of people that I was in school with, it fluctuated. It fluctuated. I started school in Norfolk School, public system, and then my dad moved us out of that system and got me in the Virginia Beach system. So I know this is very local. Y'all know about Virginia Beach and Norfolk, but if you don't know, I would say that Norfolk's more of the predominantly black area.
Yeah.
Whereas Virginia Beach is more of it's military, so you get a little bit of everybody. It's like a mixed bag.
Right.
So that's what I would say if I had to mention my demo. But yeah, just even kill. Wasn't nothing crazy. I got principals list one time. I remember that. But semi honor roll student type thing.
Yeah. I think that's actually kind of interesting because my mom she never wanted me to go to the Newport News school system. So I was always in York County. And of course, my grandparents, being my guardians, I had the luxury of using their address to go to York County schools.
Yeah.
So my demographic was always 70% white, 30% black. And it wasn't until I got older when I started seeing it kind of become a little even. But even then, it was just, being in public schools, you had a range of things where you can see different groups of people. And I feel like this battle that we're starting to see today where this large outcry of charter schools that we're starting to notice, even from our Department of Education authority, Ms. Betsy DeVos, how she wants to create charter schools. A lot of these charter schools coming in today aren't necessarily advantageous for us as African Americans. Now, I say that to say, I do think there is a key in charter schools being able to go into those. Because what happens is you have a community of people that are in these charter schools that you can actually learn from. The classroom sizes are smaller. You have a little more resources going into them because people that are in these charter schools have a little more vested money.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you guys, if you are raising kids in this day and society today, would you rather have your kids go to a public school or into a charter school?
I think a lot of it has to deal with, unfortunately, where you live and the options available to you. Because all public schools, I wouldn't say would put you at a disadvantage. If you're in the right, it's sort of like, I don't really like saying it, but it's sort of like being at the right place, in the right situation. Because if you're in a place where everything's flowing, there's not as much poverty, then you have the resources available at that type of situation. Now, obviously, the charter's always gonna have more, funding, and things are gonna be a little bit different. But I think it kind of defaults to where you live and what's available in that area.
So let me ask you this: what would you say if you found out that $23 billion is going towards more predominantly white schools than they are non-white minority people of color school systems or schools? When you look at these areas, like you said, your point, these charter schools and these public schools are able to survive because they're coming off taxpayer dollars. People's property taxes are paying for these schools. Also, there's certain cities that are allowing schools to get certain money. People are donating to these schools. So then, like you said, if you are in a certain area, do you want to move to that area? Because now we're starting to see these different communities are starting to now rezone schools. They're starting to rezone communities now where I don't want my kid to go to that school. I'm going to move here so he can be zoned for this school and this school only. Is that right in you guys' eyes?
I mean, of course not, but that also goes to people needing to be involved in a community. The reason why the funding is the way it is because there's no. When do you hear about? I mean, not to point anybody out. Have any of y'all parents ever mentioned going to a PTA meeting?
Yeah, yeah.
Now I would love to see now what that looks like.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of people treat the school system as a form of childcare or child support, childcare.
Talk about it.
I'm gonna send you on this bus, and where I can go to work and do what I need to do, and I'm not gonna be involved in what you learn and what you do. Like it's multiple folds to this system. You know what I mean? I can't just point to one thing and say that's at fault.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
To me.
Right.
And I mean, with the charter school stuff, and I'm probably jumping ahead, but with the charter school stuff, not all charter schools are good schools either. Some of these people, when I think of a charter school, I think of a private funding. You know what I mean? So if somebody's going to privately fund something, they doing it so they can get paid something too.
Yeah, it's a benefit to go or kickback to them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to point nobody out. But there's somebody recently we just celebrated because they just took a job and they got a charter school that didn't do too well themselves. I'm not going to point any names out. Y'all can go figure that out. But it's a lot of people, that just that think that private school, charter school, like that's the way to go as well. But that's just also another hustle.
Yeah.
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 It's unfortunate because I think to your point, Bruce, if more people spent more money or invested more money in public schools, or if the money was divided evenly to where some of these PWI public schools are also getting the same amount of money that are going to these non-PWI schools, we could have a perfectly balanced educational system. But we know this educational system necessarily wasn't built equal.
amongst a lot of other things.
We start going back to Brown versus Board of Education.
Mm-hmm.
It was 66 years ago that they tried to segregate.
Yeah.
And it seems like now, or they tried to desegregate, but it seems like now there's more segregation in the school system now than it was back then. Because now it's structured.
Because segregation is happening in your living situations as well.
Yeah.
Facts.
It's easier to break y'all down when I know all y'all live in the same predominantly area.
Right.
Facts.
Now, I mean, not to go completely a different place. Do you think that's? And I know this is all it's an individual thing, but I'm a firm believer that it's never great to live one way around one person. Because if all I know was this, the world ain't built that way. So if I leave this to go to, say, like I graduate high school and I've been in this predominantly black area, that's all I know is black people. Even if I went to HBCU, I'm going from getting there to where I am, I'm going to have to interact with other people.
Yeah.
I didn't go to a HBCU, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure that you get some of that energy from being around in that town, because the HBCU is not like going to the big schools where it's like this is the school and this is it. We own all of this. From Virginia State, y'all was right there by Richmond.
Yeah.
So if you going out, go to Richmond, you around Richmond, they be thinking like, it was murder capital, but it'd be some white people out there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you had VCU, which was in the heart of Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the VCU is like sitting right there.
Yeah.
Also, the University of Richmond is down there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the little known school, or the little unknown school, I apologize. And it's not a shot because I went to Virginia State, but Union, sitting right down there. Smallest campus in the city of Richmond. You would never think they were there unless you went there. You knew people that went there.
Right.
Or unless you're just familiar with HBCUs in general. But it's just weird to me that every HBCU that I've come across, Hampton, Norfolk State, Virginia State, they're in older, affluent neighborhoods that are predominantly black, kind of in underdeveloped communities as well.
Yeah.
To your point, what you just said, you can go to Oklahoma. Oklahoma University is the city that they're in.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's
That's
nothing
it.
there. Yeah.
Blacksburg. Virginia Tech is Blacksburg.
Yep.
So it's difficult for us to get a footing when we're not building around the university. The university is just being dropped in the area and just saying, y'all go thrive.
Who fault is that?
I would say some of it's on us.
What do you say when you say us? Like the students or the
Some of it's on the black community because of the fact that we always throw out the word privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we feel like people are privileged because they ask questions. I think there's nothing wrong with us asking questions or making demands.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, we're in an underdeveloped community. We want you guys to throw this money there. And if you do not, then this is what we're going to do. You guys aren't going to get paid. You guys aren't going to get your money. We're going to take a stand. And also, too, having the wherewithal to be like, you know what? We're going to take this action to court. We're going to take legal action to make sure that you guys do what's right. Or, better yet, vote for the representatives that are going to make the change that you guys need to get the proper protocols in place to help your university survive, not just be an afterthought.
Yeah. Ty, what do you think of this?
I mean, I kind of side with that ideology of like unity for a cause. I feel like the issue is though how many people do we have sitting in that room making those demands? Is it one person? Is it two people? Is it three people? That's not a threat to what we're up against. Do we have enough people on the same page for what we want for our kids? And do we have the ones that are the families that are really traumatized from whatever past event? Are they in a position to have the time to be at this type of situation? Are they informed on what the better part of the situation looks like? I think it just like everything else is, it's a numbers game. And if we're not in unison when we go and make these demands, what are we going to get out of it? You know, are we going to get what we're asking for in equality? Are we going to go to one meeting? Are we going to go to 2 meetings? Are we going to see it through, or are we just going to show up on day 1 and be frustrated as all get out and then no follow up?
Right.
I mean, because if you don't have follow up, what are we gonna? What is the purpose of even starting it?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm for all of these things, but I feel like it's more of like, how do we get everybody on pace for this one mission? Because I know y'all want better.
Right.
Your kid knows my kid. They're friends. Like, why wouldn't you want better for your kid if we could get this? But do you even know what's going on the other side of the curtain?
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, do you, a lot of people, like, we like to throw out there what's best for us and the things that we can do, but are the people in the mind state to grasp these concepts? Like, are they even like, I mean, you got to be real. We're talking about people that are in underprivileged situations, right?
The underserved and underprivileged.
Do they have the mind capacity to go through this outside of like worrying if they're gonna come home to a house, or if they're gonna come home to peace, or if it's peaceful, or, you know, can I make it straight home? You know, am I gonna have enough gas? Is the car gonna work? Is my stuff gonna be thrown out when I get to the door? You know, I understand that we want to move forward and we want to move in unison, but I think we miss a lot of what other people are going through because we're trying to compare our paths to theirs because we live in the same place, but we aren't really necessarily going through the same things.
Right.
So I don't like the internal shaming of our own without knowing the whole scope. Because we could be neighbors. I may not see you and I may think you're doing something crazy. Have I had a conversation with you? We can't be scared to go talk to each other. Or we can't be fearful, or we can't be, I mean, she don't ever speak to me this day, well, I'm going to go talk to her this day. And, you know, it goes all the way down to this point because we're trying to be unified, right? If we can't speak to our neighbors, if we don't feel comfortable in these situations, well, you ain't going to get 100% of the participation that you're asking for.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a good point that you bring up, too, about that, because what you're explaining is the tribe, like
Right.
raising a tribe to raise a child.
Yeah.
That's out the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like me, I lived in Chicago, lived in Oakland, lived in DC. You would never wave to your neighbor. Like you would never even a head nod was almost foreign to some people. And that was just crazy to me. We moved here to North Carolina and it's like I just probably spoke to more people than I did in a whole year of living somewhere else.
Do you feel like that's more so because of the areas? Because those 3 cities that you mentioned are fairly large cities.
Yeah.
They're fairly popular cities as well.
Yeah.
Where you got, like, I don't want to say they don't have time to think about education, but it just kind of seems like they're always in the hustle and bustle. They're always in go mode.
Yeah.
When you come down here, things a little more
slow down,
yep. Family oriented. Like, you know, we don't mind speaking. We see you, like, hey, how you doing?
But these are the places that having the most turnover with their school systems.
And the money's being funneled everywhere else but to that system education.
Yeah. Like Chicago, South Side and West Side, schools closed heavily. In Oakland too. But you just don't hear and see like the people of the tribe trying to do it together. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, well, you know, I don't talk to her, or I don't talk to him, like the negative stuff.
Right.
And we all got kids. Like you might not like me, but we can all stand together for something to help benefit these people who didn't ask to be here.
Facts.
I think too often we just get that excuse like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this or how I'm going to get there and how I'm going to do that. It's not them that I'm looking at when I say this stuff. It's the people around because everybody in the hood ain't broke.
True.
Everybody in the hood or everybody in this neighborhood, let me stop saying hood. Everybody in this neighborhood ain't got to be at that level.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've seen it. my personal life growing up, I've seen that you have the father who can be around and kind of father the block.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at those people who have that ability. Step up, man. Help out a little bit. Just a little bit. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back to a point that you just mentioned about Chicago and the school shutting down. That seems to be a prevalent issue that we've come across a lot with our schools, is that they shut schools down and they're starting to overcrowd other schools. So we might have gone from 5 schools in one district. Now we've gone to 3.
Yeah.
So now we're starting to overcrowd these schools. And how do you expect a child to learn when the classroom sizes went from 20 kids, now you got 50 students in one class?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it hard when you have kids that are used to getting one-on-one attention, when you can easily have a teacher that can get to 20 kids. Now they got to juggle 50.
Yeah.
So you got
who
50.
need that attention.
Exactly.
Yep. Who wants it?
Yeah. Not just want, but needs that attention.
So,
Because you're when you was talking about your grades and your school stuff, you could have been looked at as the talkative child because you needed that extra attention to drive you from distracting others.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, it could be the teacher wasn't involved either, so it's easier for them to just write a mark, say he talks too much.
mm-hmm.
But we also asking these teachers who go to these schools for miracles, and they getting paid
pennies on the dollar.
Inch or two over minimum wage.
Yep.
While having to supply the supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about going through this pandemic. Like, not only are you talking about these schools are already been closed, so you got these overcrowding. Then you got these kids who you're telling them they're not going to school, which is the right thing to do. They should not go to school right now during this pandemic. But they ain't got the proper supplies to even produce as a student to learn. Like, we talking about teachers having to provide iPads and teachers needing to provide like Wi-Fi hotspots and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I'm not looking at the parents like, oh, y'all at fault because y'all should have this. Like, no, I'm not looking at them like that.
Right.
But I am looking at these schools like, okay, so you moved everybody into this school, and granted, nobody planned for this pandemic, but y'all ain't think this all the way through. Y'all had a couple of months now to figure it out before the kids had to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because while I was at home, I had conversations with my mom, and there have been some reports, and apparently Virginia is going to let K through 5 go back to school, at least the peninsula anyway.
Oh, wow.
And, I had a conversation. I said, Mom, I don't, she's like, I don't know what they're going to do. I said, well, they don't need to go to school. But her point to me was, well, some of these little kids need more attention at home than these parents are able to give them. Because their parents are working from home if they have the ability to have a job.
Yeah.
So you're asking parents to teach their kids lessons that they aren't even necessarily comfortable with because they're having too many other things they have to juggle. And my point to her was, well, there are a lot of parents that do have to work. So that's a very valid reasoning why.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of parents that are sitting at home, sitting on their ass.
Twiddling their thumbs, collecting check.
This is something where this is your child. If you want your child to succeed, you need to make the necessary precautions to make sure you're giving them the right platform to learn in the educational system. And see, this is the issue that I have a lot of times when we talk about education. And I have my conversation with my wife. I said, the school system is going to do what they do, but it's up to us to teach the kids what we got to teach at home. We can't rely on the school system to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, to Bruce's point, Ty, I want to ask your opinion on this. How do you feel about the kids going back to school and the parents basically kind of, like Bruce was saying earlier, just ushering them back because that's just free childcare? They don't. That's one less thing they have to worry about.
That's a layered question, man. And we're talking like different walks of life, different, how people grew up, what they seen was best for them, and how their parents did certain things. You got a lot to kind of consider when asking that, because we're talking to a wide range of individuals. You've got the person that is well established and they can work from home and it's easy peasy, and they have the time because their bosses understand what's going on because their kids are in the same situation, so they allow certain things. It's more lenient than others. Well, then you also have people that cannot work from home. That's not a capability. So you have some people, granted, that, it's fine, they can work, but then maybe the boss is a little more strenuous. They're not in a position to have as much leniency as others, right? So then they got to figure out, and I don't know about y'all, but like some of the things that I seen when I was obviously younger, when my little brother was bringing home, it don't look the same. Concepts and things and how they're being taught.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of that stuff. It looks like foreign language to me. Like I didn't learn this the way you guys are learning it, but we're trying to get to the same goal. Like that, some of that stuff I don't understand how it changes over time.
Well, that's what your parent was also having that too. I'm pretty sure mine was as well.
Yeah.
So it's not nothing new.
Right.
This has been going on. This is funny that
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because again, I could bring home something and my mother be like, or father or grandfather, whatever. Why are they teaching it to you? I can't even count on my hands how many times I heard that. Why are they teaching that to you this way?
Yeah.
When you can learn it like this, and it's like, oh, well, that makes so much more sense. And sometimes it didn't. But it's layers. It's so many layers. I can't really give you like, yeah, this is great and this is not, because again, what the world does every day, we don't take in consideration all layers. It's like, hey, this is it, jump on, or you get left behind. Like either you're gonna strive to be what I'm asking you to be, or get to the goal I'm asking you to get to, or you're gonna be left.
Right.
There is no time for you to figure it out. And although they've had time to figure it out, they still don't have it figured out. But we're supposed to accommodate and adjust, or we're asking parents and families to adjust on the drop of a dime when they don't even have all the resources available for the kids.
But let's get it clear though. It's not just the people out there struggling, the families struggling that depend on school for childcare. There's a lot of parents that they'd rather be hands off with they kids. So they drop them off at a school or drop them off here. And that's the part. That's who I'm pointing at. Not at the person struggling.
Facts. I agree.
You know what I mean? Because that's a strong and terrible gripe to have to deal with, because they don't want to be in that position to have to depend on sending their kids to go to school to eat. Like that's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's these weak parents who send their kids to school because they know, hey, look, I can send them in, I can go to work for 8 hours. I got 8 hours, and they're not involved when they get home to check what their kids are doing, what they're into, and those are the parents I'm looking at. And I know, don't throw stones if you don't know the struggle, but I do know what it is to be brought with a good parenting system and how that looks. So when I don't see that to other people, then I'm gonna be like, well, why are you not involved? You know what I mean? Why are you not joining these PTA meetings? You had the ability. Why are you not going to these city halls to figure out what these school systems is going on? Like, why is we getting underfunded?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not being involved? Because you have that time, you have that ability. You just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But then you want to get upset when these schools close.
Right.
And now you're forced to take your child to another school.
Yeah. But then they're not going to take them. They're going to show them how to get on the bus, the public transport
to get to schools, right?
To go to school.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? So
I ain't trying to hijack or take us in a whole nother different direction, but that's a part of like, I think you need to kind of realize what it is or what it means to be a parent before you decide to carry out certain actions. Because me personally, I'm not a good fit to be a parent. And the way that I came to this conclusion is I love to work. I'm not gonna say I love to work for someone else. I just love the process of like earning what I get and what I can do with what I earn. And I have a Yorkie, and
oh, you a parent already?
I am a form of a parent. So I know with him, obviously, is we talking two different lanes, but I would refer to him as being my son or whatever. And it's certain things like I think on after the fact, I'm like, man, well, damn, I did kind of work all day, and I came home. I gave him 10 minutes, and I'm jumping at something else
Mm-hmm.
after the fact, and I'm like, well, like how if this is my routine, how in the world could I be a father to a human being?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not gonna work,
Yeah.
and I realized that. So I think it starts early, man. You got to think about this stuff. You have to have some type of vision ahead. You got to think ahead to some degree, because you're gonna be in a situation where after the fact, where you realize this wasn't what you thought. You know what I'm saying? Now you're in a situation like where you have a pandemic going on. You have a kid, and you thought that you could lean on the teacher to tell and teach everything, because you may not have the village that you may have had, or whatever the case may be. But now that's going to fall on you. And had you not thought about that in advance, you may be a little bit irritated with life right now. But
Yeah.
hey, it's real. This is what it is, and this is where you are. So you have to adjust, and that's what I mean. That's part of what being a kid is. And I feel like I can speak to that because I've been a child. Like, a lot of people like to say, like, well, you're not a parent, you don't know what it's like. Well, I've been a child, so
You know what that is?
I went through the situation. Like,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you come at me to say that I'm not a parent and I don't know what it feels like? But at once upon a time, I was the child.
Yep. You know when somebody say like how you know you're not a parent, you know what that is?
A deflector for
A
us
deflective
digging.
excuse.
For
Yep.
us digging.
A deflective
It
excuse.
was defensive as hell.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's just how I feel about the situation.
That's a good point. That's a very valid point to bring up. And I think sometimes when we talk about the education system, there's a lot of blame that can go around on the government structures that's in place. There's a lot of it can go around on just, the way the system is set up. But a large part of that too is also parenting. You got to basically be able to parent your kids to understand how to maneuver an educational system. And there's a lot of parents out here that are allowing the school system to teach their kids or raise their kids as opposed to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think, like Brooks was saying, like, it's a lot of people out here that just passing the buck along. No, y'all take care of them. I got things to do. But that's not helping the child. Because you're asking a teacher that's getting paid $20,000 a year after taxes to basically raise your child along with 20 others, 30 others, 40 others.
And supply their school supplies and shit like that.
Pay for their lunch when they don't have any money.
Yeah.
Basically also have to meet standards that they're being asked to meet that are almost impossible because they got standardized tests that they have to get funding from the state.
Yep.
Standardized testing.
It's a lot of things that these teachers have to go through that we don't really understand. I want to ask you guys this question too. What number would you guys feel comfortable with a teacher getting per year? I'm just gonna throw that out there, see what y'all think.
Where we live.
Yeah, that I mean that's you gotta know where you're gonna live at. You're gonna cut yourself short.
Yeah.
I take 50,000. I'm living in Los Angeles. Like, nah, that ain't gonna kick it, right?
So it should be based on cost of living.
It definitely should be based on cost of living.
Definitely.
Okay.
If cost of living, if factoring out cost of living, like let's say everybody's at an even kill, teachers should definitely be getting in that 6-figure. I would say, 100,000
100,000
at least,
Okay.
because you're looking like you got to factor in a couple of things. You got to factor in the amount of time that they work not at school, so you're extended hours.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will say, well, you got extended hours, but they get 3 months out of the year off. Not always. Most of these schools, public schools, now going to a system where they not off a full summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a lot of these places that do all around schooling,
Mm-hmm.
which to me, all around schooling is just another excuse for what? Childcare.
Basically, yep.
So you got to factor childcare in as well.
Yeah.
So I would say at least $100,000 to start.
Okay.
I feel like that's comfortable. Where like if everything is even, that's a comfortable number to start with. I would say.
So before you go, Ty, do you think professors should get paid 6 figures or more?
Professors, as in university, like
Yeah,
college.
yeah.
No, because I'm paying to go to school.
Okay. So that's interesting because I actually agree with that. If you're gonna pay a regular teacher, a kindergarten teacher, 100,000, I don't need a college professor with 6 degrees to get 120.
No.
And trust me, in the college, professors bringing themselves. They ain't bringing no school supplies for you.
Exactly.
Like, they're not,
Yeah.
And they damn sure not gonna be
they ain't
lenient.
buying no books.
Yeah.
They ain't doing none of
They
that.
only teach one semester.
Yeah, and they gonna give you the whole, absences and homework and all that. I'm a grown ass man. Ain't no homework, dog.
Hey, let's
Give me
keep
the
it real
test
though, man.
when you
Them-
give me the test, and I'm gonna be ready when them tests come.
especially those that's doing that online program. That's cake work. I can do that. 'Cause it's a bunch of references. Oh, go here. Oh, go here to figure it out. Oh, go here. It's in the syllabus.
Hey, look, let's full time answer his what the teacher should get paid.
Yeah.
University like professors, a lot of them be getting over on school
For sure.
because most of them got other jobs.
they
Yep.
double dipping.
So
Yep.
you like it'd be. That's why I said I don't want the professors to get paid as much because you more than likely double dipping anyway.
Half of them CPAs, all them financials,
Yeah,
all them financial professors, they accountants on the side. They got their own
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
like I went to school for IT. You know how many? I was taking night classes too.
Yeah.
So you know how many of them would get off their job and then they go and teach in this university job as a professor, some IT work,
For sure.
networking, and they bring in some old work. They bring in old routers and switches from their job. So not only did you not even have to go spend no money, but you double dip because you getting paid 100 something already.
Already.
And I ain't hating on nobody with getting their money. Go get your money, man. But that don't mean that I'm
It's
going
not
to pay you
justified.
as if this is your 9 to 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to be working a 9 to 5 and then go to Wendy's because I ain't fucking with McDonald's right now. But I'm not going to go to Wendy's and expect Wendy's to get me the same amount of money that my 9 to 5 give me, and I'm only working at Wendy's 3 hours, 4 hours a day,
Right.
Yeah.
if that.
You're right. I agree with that.
That makes sense.
I agree with that.
That makes sense.
Ty, what about you? Same question.
I'm on par. I'm on par with what was said because we're getting well, not we, teachers in grade school are getting the young leaders and whoever they are going to become of the world at a very important stage in their lives, a stage where they're more open to receive information than at any other point in time. And has had, well, I ain't gonna speak for all professors because everybody ain't equal. But for those that really genuinely enjoy that profession, would really put a lot more into it had they gotten more out of it, I feel. Now some are gonna give it all because they just love the kids and they love the process and they love the learning process and getting them up to a certain level. But if I'm expecting my child to get a certain type of lesson plan or learning throughout the grade school, I would want the person in charge of that to be compensated correctly so that they feel like they don't have to shortchange stuff and they don't grow these gripes with the school legislation and how things are ran because, like, listen, like, at the end of the day, it's a job. I get it, but I'm passionate about it, but you're turning it into a job because you're taking away from what I need to live to although I'm giving it to somebody that I love, I still have needs too. So if you're going to take my time, if you're going to take an extra piece of my money that is already not enough, give me what I need and not give you what you need. But I feel like if we're going to give them that, we need to hold them to a different standard, especially those that are just treating it as a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not wanting to give you 6 figures and now you got everything you need and you fall off. Like, I need you to have the same type of energy towards the classroom.
Well, I'm gonna stop you right here.
Yeah.
When you negotiate your price, you don't negotiate that price on proven work at that company that you're negotiating that price at, right?
Right.
What happens if you negotiate? Let's say we're going to, because I threw out 100. So we negotiate. I get 100,000 a year at whatever job. If I slack off at my job, what happens?
Yes, it's gone.
Or disciplinary action.
Yeah,
and
it
might lead up to that.
So, like, that's when you got to look at these principles and saying, like, I'm not going to try to negotiate lower because you're going to slack off. You're just not going to be here long if you slack off.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like that number should not fluctuate down just because you might slack off. So, well, I'm going to mark you down and you got to work up to get this $100,000.
Yeah. I think there's plenty of people that want the profession, but they may not be able to deal with what the profession comes with.
Gotcha.
As of right now. So, I agree with that 100%. Don't negotiate the price down. Negotiate them out the door because we don't need them.
Yeah.
Because at another life cycle, they might turn into the same situation. But I feel like there's a lot of people that want to be teachers, man, and they see what's involved, and why would you go jump into that?
I'm glad you brought that up. That's my next question to y'all. Because Bruce, you threw out a number 100,000, and Ty, you agree with it, so did I. So what happens when you have a teacher that's not quite qualified? Then what do you give them? Because if we're just going to have a $100,000 threshold for teachers, they have to kind of meet the requirements to be able to be a teacher. Because to your point, a lot of people want to be teachers. They don't have the qualifications to be a teacher. They don't have the education.
If you're not a good teacher, your ass you ain't working. It's that simple.
So what we gonna just
because every year is another teacher graduating.
It is, but it's unfortunate because there already a shortage of teachers. So
yeah, it's a shortage because they don't get paid.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that's. I'm not gonna say that's everybody's reason that want to be a teacher and they haven't taken action. But I feel like it's a group of people that would love to be in that profession, but they're looking at their life and their budgets and their obligations and things that's going on. And they see teachers marching for higher pay and nobody's listening. And they see teachers marching for like a school budget. Like, I'm taking my paycheck to give back to you. Obviously, it's not going to the school. It's going to the kids that's going to the school, but it's in a way, it's going to the school because it's operating to help the school. So why would I jump into that? You know, obviously, you have to have a certain love for whatever it is you want to do, especially a teacher, a profession. You gotta have love for that.
You should have some sort of love.
You should.
You should
not love.
You should. For this profession, you need to have love.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, and Bruce, you can attest to this. Everybody's sitting there, IT, them reports, them articles coming out. People say, "Oh man, you can go in IT, you can make six figures." It ain't as easy as it seems. And people
gotta go through it.
And people out here just going out here getting these vocational degrees and getting these certificates.
Trash. Get your ass out the field.
Like it's like
if I have another motherfucker come up to me and say at 35, hey, look, how I get in IT? Bro, you late. You late, bro.
Unless you gonna do the legwork and actually go get you a degree for real. That's the only way I'm gonna truly respect you.
But at 35, that just means you never loved it anyway.
I feel like at 35, you shouldn't be asking nobody completely how to get into something. That means you've done no research.
Exactly.
You expecting somebody to give you.
That's the biggest part of IT.
You've expecting everybody to just run stuff at you, and this is any field. Like I feel like if at that age, you should be coming with a lot more than, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this. Is there anything else that I can enhance, or is there anything who can I go after? Don't ask me beginner questions. Yeah, stuff is like you might as well forget it.
Yeah, if I get another barber ask me how I get an IT, bro, just cut my hair.
Cut hair, man. Shut the fuck up and get his fade.
Be the best barber you can be at this time.
First of all, if you asking to be an IT and you're a barber, you should have plenty of time on your hands.
Yeah, but I didn't see this barber no more after he asked.
to do the research to figure it out. Like, if you booming, why would you want that?
Man, look, what you gonna cut hair at night and go? You gonna go IT in the day?
Yeah.
Well, see what people fail to realize, and that's why I asked y'all the qualification question, my teachers, because people just see a number and say, "Oh, that's great. I'm gonna go do that." It's more to it than going to get that number.
Yeah.
It takes more to it than just going and saying, "I'm gonna get this salary."
Yeah.
Because it don't always work that way. It doesn't always work that way.
And it's a lot you don't know when you get that salary.
Absolutely. When you get that salary, more requirements and expectations are expected of you.
Yeah.
And of your job. So if you're not qualified or fit to handle that responsibility, then you don't need that job.
Well, I also feel that we should add that kind of stuff in the school. 100%. If we're going to be having these kids go to these schools, y'all got to learn like certain life lessons along the way, or at least like have it brought to your attention.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of history classes that got false history in it. Might as well give y'all some real shit. How to balance a checkbook.
Exactly.
Like deal with accounting. You know what I mean? How to like, it's just certain things that you should know as an adult that should be taught in school.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing about. I'm not going to take it back. I didn't hear of anyone outside of my family telling me how to write a resume until I was in college.
Yeah.
Now, had I not wanted to go to college, you still need a resume.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happened? You know what I'm saying?
Like why we and stuff too.
Exactly.
Yep.
Your cover letter, send something to them right after. Let them know how interested you were. These are the things that kind of separate you apart, and we are missing that.
What about entrepreneur class?
Yeah. Or how about basic stuff like nursing in grade school?
Yeah. I didn't even hear about entrepreneurship until college. And I was like, what the fuck is entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
What is that?
You don't realize people in your family been doing it for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't explained that way.
Yeah. This is I just got my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad y'all brothers making this easy for me today.
We seen you came in with your notes, so we had
man.
My man's ready to go, man.
I'm glad, man.
Alley-oop.
I'm throwing it down like LeBron. So I want to ask y'all this question, and I'm glad you guys, because both of y'all kind of already set this up. The curriculum in schools definitely needs to be revised.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
Yeah.
If you were a superintendent or you were starting your own school, what would your curriculum be?
Oh, what years we talking about?
It can be any years. It can be any. This is your school.
All right, because algebra should definitely be taught. That's black people created that. So
facts.
Shout out to Nas for those. I don't know if that's real or not, but
no, that's real.
He said it in the song. So I was like, hey,
look,
because Nas be saying some stuff and it don't be real. So I had to make sure I put that out there.
Hey, look, quiet as it's kept, we admit a lot of things they don't give us credit for. But that's another topic.
That's another conversation. Another conversation. Let's see, man. Let's see. Tyler, you got something off the top of your head?
Wait, what? Who am I teaching? Whoa.
So this is your school.
Give me the school.
This is your school.
For like what grades? Like,
it don't matter. This is your school.
See, it does matter.
Nah, that matters, bro. I'm not throwing no.
Right, so I don't want to be teaching entrepreneurship to elementary kids. Like,
all right, so I'm gonna give y'all the scope. 6 through 12.
All right, that's
okay.
All right, so it would be a class about 6 to 12. All right. It'll be an entrepreneur class. What it looks like to own or create your own business. There would also be a class about what it is or look like to be an employee of a business. Because that way you can figure out at an impressionable time where you're going to have to get ready to make those decisions.
Yeah. Do
I want to work for myself or do I want to work for somebody else?
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of entrepreneurs that really want to work for somebody else.
Right.
But they feel they want their independence, but they probably be better off working for somebody else.
To learn the ropes.
Yeah. And then you have a lot of people who are employees who would probably be better being entrepreneurs because they have all the vision and ideas of how this should run properly.
Right.
And it's a lot of that learning on the job stuff that you could probably learn in school that would cut a lot of time down. We can probably be progressing as people.
Mm-hmm.
From there would definitely be some sort of accounting not just accounting, like, because accounting, when I took it, it was very broad.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really, you know what I mean? It wasn't, it told you what a debt and a credit was, but it didn't really, it's bland accounting. Like, we got to beef this accounting up to make it more relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe it could have been the teachers I had too. They just didn't really make it relatable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely see some form of relatable accounting. I would feel that it would need some sort of, not health. I don't want to just say health because health is broad.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to say like health mixed with natural science, so you kind of learn how to like plant your own food and how to gather your own food and what like food means
That's dope.
to your system.
Yeah.
I would definitely feel that way because I remember taking like oceanography and shit that I was like, what?
Marine biology, things like
biology,
that. Yeah.
like what the fuck is this got to do with anything?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? If
Yeah,
I don't
a lot
want
of
to do
classes
that,
was
like
that.
Right.
it should be open to like
I shouldn't be
taking these
forced to
stuff.
take this to graduate.
Yeah.
Facts.
Like why I wasting my time to go take this chemistry class and I have no interest in being in chemistry or pharmacy of any sort. I have no interest in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree.
You got a lot of people who know all this fucking facts and shit. They can't even they
Can't get
don't
a
know
job.
how to get across the fucking street. You know all this shit. You know what happened in 1900. You know exactly about the Mayan tribes and all this shit, but you can't get your ass across the street.
He said, I know where corn came from, but I can't drive this car.
You know what I mean?
Come on, fam.
If that's not a fact, that's a fact, bro.
I'm just sorry, man. Look, I know a lot of smart, dumb motherfuckers, and I guess that's why I really, you know.
Taking a page out of Fran
Yeah.
Savage book, ain't you?
Hey, look, smart, dumb motherfucker. You big dummy.
Yeah.
He said, you big dummy.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Ty, what your school gonna look like?
I'm gonna keep what you got.
Oh, I know his school gonna look like.
I'm gonna keep what you got, but
Big Sean University?
Yeah,
Nah,
Big Sean or the
Nipsey
marathon
University.
continues.
yeah, y'all gonna read and write everything that had to deal with them.
Instead of the Pledge of Allegiance, they're gonna be over there doing hustle and motivate.
I pledge allegiance to the grind.
that ain't a bad one right there. That ain't a bad one right there.
That's a good one, yo. That's
That
a
ain't
good
a bad one. We're gonna have to keep that. Nah, I'd only add two more things. I'd add money management. I need people to know early on what credit cards does to you.
See, you trying to make sure the car's clicking.
Yeah, we need to make sure we know what we paying for, how much we paying for if we can't pay that balance off in that month that we charge that card.
That's a fact.
Big facts.
Yeah.
We need to kind of understand what we signing up for, like the percentage, the interest rates. Does this card even make sense? You know, because if you think about it, if you ask somebody a question, hey man, if you bought this, would you only be willing to pay $55 for the item, or would you want to pay $150 after interest? They generally gonna all give you the same answer. But we also sign up for the $150 every day.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that early, and investing, like learn, like how can I invest? How can I make the money grow? You know,
See, that's why I didn't even need to add in the business courses. I knew my bro got me. I knew my bro got me.
The basic stuff, man. Just not basic, but what can you do with your money so that you're not in a rat race? You know what I'm saying? The other thing I would add is some form of mental illness.
See, look, this is how I know this is the tribe that I should be with. Because I was just about to be like, yo, if don't nobody mention it, we should definitely mention mental health.
So, I mean, listen, like a lot of us go through things that we don't feel comfortable talking about with others. We all in this room may have went through something that we don't want to talk to the other person about quite yet because we don't know where it's going to go. Maybe something from the past, whatever the case may be. But we go through life and we go through these days with all of this stuff on our shoulders, but we're still trying to be who everybody saw us as yesterday. We don't want you to see us in a vulnerable state across the board, generally. So we need to know how to cope with these situations, because what happens is when it builds up, it comes out at one time from whenever it started to now. So now, like, you can kind of throw a lot of things away
Mm-hmm.
that you work forward to because you
Mhm.
don't know how to manage whatever mental illness or whatever you got going on upstairs. If you don't know how to manage it and work through it, it can eat you up and take you out of certain rooms and opportunities. So
Right.
those would definitely be two that I would add, along with everything Bruce said. We definitely need those two items in there.
Facts. I agree with both of you guys, and I'll just throw mine out there. Just anybody who listening, because I do agree with you guys. And if we're going to go 6 through 12, I do think there are a lot of broad topics and classes and courses that you can cover. You know, to Bruce's point, I do think algebra is definitely one, because you have to be able to know how to count.
True that.
And I think that should be, I think arithmetic, and I think language arts, English, I think those should be two of the more prevalent courses that should be taught and expounded upon. Because I think a lot of times what happens is we get in these situations where we have a lot of people that are even our age that can't really truly read.
Yeah.
There are people that are 35 that are reading on a sixth grade level. That's alarming.
That is alarming.
So I think there has to be a lot of focus on arithmetic, math, and language arts. I do think a history course should be done, but I think it should be cultural for all history. Should be no history should be excluded at all. All the history should basically be taught. We shouldn't just have to worry about Christopher Columbus. He wasn't the only person that was alive. We got to talk about everything. I also feel like there needs to be a lot of vocational education in this part too.
Yeah.
Because everybody's not going to be a business owner.
Right.
Everybody's not going to be a mathematician. Everybody's not going to be a writer or a poet. But there has to be some sort of level of vocational. You have to learn how to, we need more mechanics.
Yeah, trades are overlooked, but they're very well respected.
They're
when
vital.
when your HVAC system goes out at night or during the summer, guess who you calling? Know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
when your car goes down, guess who you calling?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and it'll help you if you want to figure out how to do it on your own.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We need electricians. How do you think your house gets wired? These apartment complexes.
Yep.
People ain't just putting wires together.
Yeah.
Schematics that goes into it. Diagrams that goes into it.
Yep.
Carpentry is also very important.
Mm-hmm.
How these places get built.
Yeah, because we don't see too many black carpenters no more.
Plumbers. So vocational, and I think agriculture is another thing. To Bruce's point, having a health science class or agricultural class will be able to teach people how to raise their own food, how to harvest their own crops, how to harvest land. I think things that are just normal day-to-day things that you don't normally see, that's what we need. That's what we need items. That's what we need education on. They teach kids. All these kids aren't going to do the same thing. I also think there needs to be importance on law and government.
That's a good point. Yep.
Like
criminal justice.
That's a real good one.
Criminal justice, just government system. You understand the law, business law. All law should be understood and attainable, because to Ty's point, when you're reading contracts, you got to understand what you're signing. A lot of people don't know how to read a contract, let alone read in general. So we got to make sure that these things are well taught and well thought out, and the kids understand it. Because what's happening is grades 6 through 12 is when kids are starting to come into their own as kids and starting to develop how they're going to become as adults. And one thing that I noticed when I was doing some research was a lot of times when it comes to us as minorities, and teachers are also instructed and sort of probed to do this, is there's a syndrome called fourth grade failure syndrome, where we're in the fourth grade a lot of times. It's a phenomenon between when going from the third grade to the fourth grade, how the cultural systems start changing, the classroom dynamics start changing. And basically, when you going from a classroom environment that's mostly interactive, socially interactive, to now a more so cumulative, individualistic society and classroom. We as Black people historically have always been ones to learn culturally, socially together. We've always been able to do great in groups. We've always been able to do great when we're able to talk and communicate with others. That's kind of how we were culturally growing up. As slaves, we were able to communicate in ways where people didn't know. We were able to understand it because we knew the different callings of communication.
Right.
So I think a lot of times it's very important that we understand that when these kids are going to these schools, we got to make sure we find ways to help them communicate. And that's where I noticed, looking at historical facts, when kids get into fourth grade is when they start losing interest in school. And I think it's important that we start looking at these different waves and these different statistics, because it is important. When you're a kid in fourth grade and you're getting in trouble constantly, even from kindergarten to preschool, first and second, that takes a hindrance on you, especially when we got statistics that black boys are 3 times more likely than white boys to get in trouble, to get suspended in school for the same exact behavior. And black girls are 4 times as more than white girls to get in trouble and suspended for the same exact behavior. So what are you telling a kid that's getting in trouble all the time? What are you telling them? When they're as enthusiastic to learn at that young age, what are you telling them when they're getting in trouble all the time? Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. So now you're planting seeds in their mind. You're either planting seeds of fear or you're planting seeds of doubt.
Yeah.
And that's not vital. That's not vital for anyone's educational purposes or their own personal journey.
Yeah.
So we got to start taking a look in things like that. And I love both you guys for giving those opinions, and I agree with both y'all having those schools. I know one thing, we'd have some dope ass schools.
Hey, look, school marathon continues. Go out
For
be
sure.
fire, boy. West Side High.
Oh, you need Joe Clark to be running school. We'd be good.
Nah, we don't need no Joe
Yo,
Clark.
come on, man.
We gotta talk about how bad Principal Joe Clark was.
He trying to
but that's
chain
a
all the
different
door.
day.
He trying to chain us in here.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Joe Clark was a little crazy. He was a little crazy.
Hey, look, he said the failures is failures. Get them up out of here. That's right there. Look, that's the script these people be using now.
Facts.
It's unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because he definitely got them drug dealers and all of them up out of there instead of trying to revive them.
Yeah.
That's the fact.
You ain't spend no time with them.
Oh, you want to be an entrepreneur? Let me show you something. Show you how to get this legal money. R.I.P. Nipsey would have did it.
Facts.
Yep.
Facts.
Yep.
Facts. So it's a lot of disgusting shit, man, with that.
And what's the other teacher? What's the Puerto Rican teacher? He was the numbers teacher.
I forgot his name.
What's that? Y'all, we had to watch. I don't know about y'all. We had to watch that in school. I forgot.
What is it?
The Puerto Rican teacher. Man, it's gonna bother me until I figure it out. But
East Side High.
No, it was the other one. It was like the Puerto Rican version of Lean on Me.
Oh,
I can't think of the name of that. Oh man, there's a lot of education movies oh man, I can't think of that dude's name. But yeah, there's a lot of teachers like him. We got to let them go.
This one we need the intern in here that just can say
Give
it
us
right
the
off the
facts
top
like
of their
that. Yeah,
head.
for sure.
Jeez, man.
We need y'all to be culturally
Stand and deliver.
Hey,
What's my man name? Jamie Escalante.
Oh man, yeah, we definitely need the intern for sure.
And then we can have Coach Carter be our basketball coach. Boy, we be lit.
As long as he can get Gonzalez in trouble,
chips,
we good.
baby.
Because he was revitalizing. Like, damn, I can't even.
I know what you mean.
He was reviving all the kids over there, boy. Even the drug dealer, he got him out there.
He
speaking
got him
some
out,
facts
yeah.
at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got Gonzalez straight though.
Yep.
He had him straight.
Hey, Gonzalez been all over, man. How you went from Gonzalez? He was a Hook. He was in Hook.
He was a whole lot of stuff.
Peter Pan. Like, jeez. Biker Boys. He been on a lot of stuff, boy.
Yeah, man. You don't see
he
Rick.
was on Biker Boy Morning.
Yeah. You don't see Rick Rodriguez no more though. He didn't calm down, but he was on the scene quite a bit around that time.
Hey, look, I know I just took y'all way outside what we were talking about.
Nah, man, we need Coach Carter. That's all. That's all, man.
Definitely got to add him to the roster.
So I want to ask you guys because we all went to college here. You all went to school. If you had to go back and tell your 18, 17-year-old self to go to school, would you do it now? Knowing what you know about college?
No.
Why not?
Well, it's tough. It's yes and it's no. It's yes, because I wouldn't have some of the relationships I have today, which I would have to kind of default to yes, because these relationships I have today are very important pieces to the puzzle. If I were to omit those, which I'm not trying to do, but just outside of the networking piece and the friendships and the family ships that they've grown into, um, I can't really say that this was my path.
Right.
It wasn't. I didn't plan to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I went because other people around me that I went to high school were going, and y'all kind of heard this story earlier today. But I had plans on starting something independent sooner, but I just didn't have the support that I needed for it to come to fruition. Which is fine. It's cool. I don't think if I had, now I'm kind of backpedaling, but I don't think if overall, if I had a choice to change anything, I wouldn't. But if I'm talking to someone outside of me, what I would tell them is to be sure this is what you want to do. If you have something instilled in you that you want to bring to the world, strive for it. Within reason of what your accommodations are. Know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, you can't be reckless because at that point, you're not independent a lot of times. So just be responsible about what your decision is and just stick with it and stand on it. If I were to tell myself, it would have to be no, just because of the value that I got from it. And it wasn't necessarily the school. It was, again, the relationships that I built when I was there.
Right.
But I would just tell any 18-year-old, like, if school is an option and it's coming up, make sure that's what you want to do, because this is an investment. Unless you got a full ride, it's an investment. And you got to think about that, because a lot of times your name is on that paperwork. So when you graduate, that's coming to you. Whether you had mom and dad there, whether they going to support you, whatever the case may be, just realize that they're coming to you first. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you have somewhat of a plan together that you're going to stick with it. I just see often too many times a lot of kids go to school and they end up not even doing what they went to school for. They could have omitted those 4 years and could have been jump started off in whatever it is that they wanted to do. So that's why I voice this perspective is just be sure that that's what you want to do. Think about it. Don't just do it because it's popular. Don't just do it because all of your friends are doing it. Don't feel like you're going to be left out, because guess what? They coming back on break and they coming back to where you live. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see them again. But just let that decision be your decision. I say that.
Bruce?
I would say go as long as you can go and go as far as you can go. Me personally, my experience, I went to, I'll also add a gap year into it. I feel like going straight from high school to college is not necessarily the best thing to do, because if you've been in high school and you didn't have a job, like of any sort, when you were in high school and you went straight to college and then have no job until who knows when, you're gonna have a rude awakening on what you want to go to school about, like for, I should say.
Yeah.
For me, I would definitely recommend a gap year to go work or travel. I mean, it depends on where that person is in their life and what they can accomplish or be like. There's opportunities that are available to them.
Right.
But I would definitely recommend, because our community, we don't allow for that enough.
Mm.
Yeah.
We don't allow for that gap year. We don't allow for that getting to learn yourself, because college is about knowing yourself or learning yourself.
Yeah.
The people who be learning themselves be playing themselves in school.
Yeah.
Because you want to be on a yard, you want to go out, you want to be partying, and what's taking the back seat?
Education.
Because we know
the main purpose why you there.
Exactly. We know men is boys and men especially, like you talking about boys turning into men. One track mind, where the girls at?
Yeah.
What Mike else? Where the ladies at? I ain't gonna call y'all the B word. Y'all had enough shit going on this week.
For sure.
For sure.
But
yeah.
I would say take that gap year. I would say go as long as you can. Graduation isn't necessarily the key to the end, because for me, I went to community college, so it won't no networking. There were a lot of adults. They doing it on the side, and is no networking situation there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the things I've seen that I've missed not going to college, like going away to college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If and when I had kids, I'm gonna be pushing them to go. Hey, look, this is what school is about. This is what this university, college is about. It's about networking, because these are your peers. These are people you're gonna either be working with or working for.
Facts.
So you better get to know them, because they're gonna be your inlet to getting to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And like genuinely have relationships. Because I think another thing about people with networking is they treat networking as like, oh, I gotta be getting to know people to get something from them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sometimes you need to get to know people to be putting them on for something.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Not sometimes, a lot of times. Like you
A
shouldn't
lot of
have a
times they should be
relationship
getting something
that
from
you
you.
can't put nobody on for anything.
Yeah.
Because you're a user.
Right.
Mhm.
Facts.
And that's not a genuine networking situation. Like you just, I'm gonna get to know them because they smart. They gonna get a job, and then I can get them, and they can get me a job. Like, no, how about we get our heads together and we create a job?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's put each other on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot. Well, I look at a lot of biography type shit, and a lot of people who are successful, man, they like, I'm gonna take Diddy for instance. A lot of the opportunities that Sean Diddy Combs got was because he went to Howard, and he was about that life in Howard, about the promoting, about the partying, about the like promotion stuff, and being in music. Like, he was going to do something. He knew the vision where he wanted to be. And he got a lot of networking opportunities where he got to meet a lot of people who were in places that helped make it work. But he didn't just go up to them thinking like, oh, I want to know you because I want to work for you. He actually came to them saying like, this is what I can do. And that's what real networking is about. Let me do this for you. Let me show you how they can do this better.
Yep.
Like, you can't just be going to somebody, I just want to get down, want to get down. Okay, cool, you can get down, but what are you going to do? What can you do for me? It's a bunch of people who want to get down with me. But what
Right.
can you give me? What's, it's a two-way street.
Exactly.
Mike, what would you say?
It's amazing you use Diddy because he cultivated his personality in college
Yeah.
to the point where that helped him to this day.
Yeah.
All that promotion, that marketing, that lively personality that he has. That's where it came from.
And DC, we don't get enough love too,
Facts.
because DC is definitely a home of a lot of people getting that
They got their first start.
swag from,
Yeah.
because y'all like to get that shit to New York. Like, New York invented everything. They invented it a lot, but DC got a lot to also do with why people do the things they do and act the way they act.
A lot of people forget. People from New York had to come down to the South to get what they really needed. Like, we had everything.
Yeah, well,
We had everything.
and we got them fatty backs, boy.
Huh? Honestly, I would say, I would tell them, make sure you know what you really want to do before you do it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, like Ty, I went to college because, family wanted to go. Plus, it was first generation.
Yeah. That's
Like, hey, nobody in this family went to college. You gotta do it for your cousins. Which is fine and dandy because it helped.
But you shouldn't feel obligated to do nothing for nobody.
And that's kind of too where you're right. You're running at crossroads. But sometimes I think it's also good too to make that sacrifice for others, because at the end of the day, even though I didn't really want to make that decision, I made that decision. It was one of the best decisions I ever made.
True.
Because I was able to go to college and foster relationships and network, like you guys have said, and I was able to meet some friends that to this day have become family. I was able to obtain a degree to get me into a career that I've always loved and wanted, because it was a way to kind of level the playing field just a little bit, just slightly. Were there things I wish I could have done differently? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, and to your point, Bruce, I love that idea of taking the year off, because I went to community college right after high school. My mom said, "I'm not paying for you to go to college to fuck my money up. You going to community college to fix
The same
this
shit.
out."
Hey, look, and I damn sure tricked my mama first quarter money off. I damn sure tricked that shit off, because I was failing and everything. She had to have that. Look, I ain't gonna keep on.
Nah, trust me, I know exactly where you're going from, because you had that conversation, you get that level of comfort. Like, man, I'm home. Some older women, they checking me out. Like, you still 18, you still 17. Like, you
might
like
know somebody who serve a little something.
Yeah, like, you a stripper? Like, oh, okay, all right. Well, let me help you do your biology homework real quick. Like, so your minds went, like Bruce is saying, like, it's kids that are 18 that are going away. They're kids in New York coming all the way down here to Virginia,
Losing they fucking
coming out of
mind.
North, and all they think about is just ass and tits, and that's it.
But see, that's the very thing that scared that's what scared the crap out of me. So I went into college thinking like you said, Mike, I'm the first generation to go to a 4-year.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, so everybody know I'm going to college. And the last thing I want to do is be the talk of the town or the talk of the family. Like, he missed this, he messed that up. Because it is what it is. One bad thing about family, you mess up, they're going to let you know.
That's a fact.
And they're going to let you know over and over and over again, because they're telling your story to so many others, so they won't do what you just did.
Mm-hmm.
And, I kind of went into it with that intent, because I had 2 cousins that was like, I know their parents were drilling into them what I did, and I hated that, because I ain't perfect, and I never want nobody to look at me like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the age that they were in, it was a gap, so they didn't really know. They knew all the good things, because that's what everybody was talking about.
Right.
So going to college, and if I would have had to come back for something like that, would they have gone to college? I don't know. But that was my process. Whether it should have been or not at that age, because I felt like it shouldn't have been. But I don't know. I've always been one that put a lot of people, I ain't going to say a lot of people, but certain people in front of me. I will put you in front of me as long as I know that whatever decision I make would be better for you. So I was scared to do or get into any mischief. Now, it was a point in time where I got comfortable and smooth about doing things. I ain't going to say I was the perfect person. But when I first got there, that was the intent. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, hey, man, yeah, just come drink, man. Come do this, come do that. Nah. I know I got to go home. My mom gonna pick me up. My dad gonna pick me. My uncle gonna pick me up.
That's why.
Sir.
That's why your wife look at you now like you was, boy. You was too good for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
I got told that a whole lot of times. But at a certain point, I got a little bit more comfortable. But I always had that over my head, like, and I put that up there. Just. You gotta do the right thing, man, because everybody's saying this, and everybody they saying that you're a model and you this and it's like, it's unwarranted pressure, because I don't feel like I'm that honorable, to be honest with you. I'm just somebody regular trying to make it happen in the way that I feel that's best fit for me.
Right.
But I kind of think about other people coming behind me, and just especially family. I ain't saying this like I'm this big great figure, just people that I know intimately. That are watching me, and I'm trying to do the best thing so that they can see, like, hey, just try to stay on this path, or try to do your best to do this, because it is a bad side to the other side. You know what I'm saying?
But the other thing family need to realize is also more than one way to cut the
True.
same cloth.
True.
Because the thing about family is they set their expectations upon you,
right?
And you might not be built of that same ilk to get it the way that they making you try to get it.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So you end up going to a 4-year college. You got this debt you're going to inherit.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? I didn't have no fun because I'm trying to hold up to the expectation of y'all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And on top of that, like, who going to help me pay these bills when I get out?
Oh, Joe, let's be honest. Once I knew it was me, yeah, all the other stuff.
Let it go.
Hey, my name is on this. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I'm the
Yeah.
one paying for me to be here. I'm
Yep.
the one paying for my room and board. Maybe not now, like as in when I was enrolled, but then I started to realize, okay, well, nah, this is all coming to me. So let me
That thing gonna say Tyrone on it, boy.
exactly
Due on the 15th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just what I want, people to see. Like before you go, like just make sure you have that somewhere in your mind that on the whenever the day strikes that you graduate, when you come across that stage. And not to say this, I'm not trying to make it seem like don't go to college, but just make sure you have it in the plan to do what you went there for, or else you just created a huge bill. Like you can network in a million different places. You know what I'm saying? You can network in a coffee shop. You can network going wherever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily need to go to a college for that one reason. And just make sure what you're going for is what you're gonna stick. And agree. I also understand that you're gonna grow and evolve, and you're gonna like different things as you get there. But if you can tailor it, then that would be in your best interest. Because if you got to start over and take a different major and go another route and pay all this other money to reverse your decision, I mean, what have you really done? Not planned properly.
Yeah.
And it's I'm an example of like just going with the flow instead of stopping and pausing and saying, nah, this is kind of what I wanted to do. So how can I figure out how to do this instead of going with everybody else or going with what everybody else wants me to do? And I feel like a lot of kids are in that decision where like the mom and the dad talking you up all senior year. You're going to go to college. You can go to college. You can go to this one. You can go to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And you got it in your mind, well, I'm not going to disappoint them. They've been supporting me forever. Let me just do what they want to satisfy them.
Right.
And not realizing that they telling you to go to college, go to college, go to college. You know, all they doing is teaching how to book. You know where I can get this book from? From the library.
Hey, if you didn't know, you can buy those books without being enrolled.
Exactly. So if you want me to go to college, so go to college, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, guess what I'm going to do? What I could do, I go get these same textbooks that they talking about in the school.
Yeah.
That change every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
They can't make it change every 2.
Right.
They make it change every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know what I mean? Be taught something that's outdated anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of the tough part too, because I feel like a lot of times we're the only. I don't want to say we're the only community, but it feels like we're the only community that always pushes the other to go to college because everybody else didn't have the wherewithal to do it or didn't have we're in a position to go. You know, I feel like a lot of times I was pushed to go. My grandfather said, "Yeah, if I had your brains, I'd be in school. I'd be a terrible motherfucker." His words verbatim.
Yeah.
But not knowing that really the brains is the experience that he has
for years doing what he did.
Yeah.
Right.
And and then and I love my mom to death, but she didn't have the means to go to college. So it was her goal to say, "I'm gonna make sure you go to school."
Yeah. You got that too.
Yeah. So it was just kind of one of those things too, where it's just, it's nothing wrong with it, but it is something wrong with it because it's like sometimes you get other people's projected livelihood and lifestyles thrown on you, and it's like that's not what I really want to do with my life at this moment. I don't know what I want to do, but don't thrust me into a situation where now I have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I should at least have some time to be able to figure it out, to be able to think and make my own thorough decisions. So when I go out there and make a mistake, I would have learned that on my own.
Yeah, that's why I said the gap year is critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you can tell those that were prepared to go to college, they asking for the classes, not letting the counselor say, "Hey, this is the right class you need to take to get this degree." They're going in there saying, "Nah, I need to take This is what I need this is the credits I need to do what I'm trying to do.
Yep.
You know, it's a different mission. And this is with anything. Like if you're prepared for it, you know what you need in order to get to that goal line. So as opposed to me kind of following everybody and just going because everybody else went, I'm at the leisure of what everybody tell me because I don't really know much about this process. Yeah, you go to on-board orientation a weekend. That don't really tell you.
I don't tell you shit. You party for the most part.
That tells you, hey, this is the building you go to eat. This is the building you go to study. Here's the gym. You know, stuff like that.
We got a fish fry. You can come to the fish fry later.
Oh yeah, and the best food is on orientation, by the way. But yeah, it don't really. Just prepare yourself for whatever decision you're trying to make, man. Research it on your own. Get your own understanding of what you are after. You know, there's a lot of different ways to get to, you know, the finish line. No matter where you are and what you're trying to obtain. Do some, and now we're in a time where, like, dude, you can figure out a lot of stuff on your own. You know, all of this stuff wasn't as accessible as it was when we were growing up, and then before that. But now you can figure out almost anything if you really, really want to know.
Facts. That's a fact. That's a fact. So I'm gonna ask you guys one last question. And we can be done with education for the night. Do you feel as if with the current climate that we're in right now at this moment, do you feel there should be a huge influx of enrollment at HBCU colleges? Because of the situation that we're in and because of the historical importance of these universities, throughout the last 10 years, we've seen quite a few universities actually go under because of financial situations and hardships.
Mm-hmm.
Or they've taken other financial hardships from other universities to keep them afloat, being the sacrificial lamb in so many words, to now that they're in financial ruins where they can't come back from. Do you feel like there should be a large influx of support for these historic black colleges to keep them available, alive, and thriving, for us to have a level of equal playing field? Because let's be honest, 70% of the doctors and nurses and lawyers that are of African American descent have come from HBCUs. So that's taken a large pool away from us as a community. So you guys feel like we should have a large influx with today's climate, and would it be validated?
The timing I don't like. I feel like, you know, if you were in support of this idea of supporting your own, I don't feel like it's ever like a clock that strikes and you just completely just change.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I went to HBCU. I love my HBCU, Virginia State University. And if I had another option to go to another one, you know, I would do the same thing. I would go to an HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
The only insensitive thing that I see is just now we're all of a sudden, now we're all HBCU, right? So what if HBCUs does something that kind of throws us off from, now we don't like, they did this, we don't like HBCUs, we don't like HBCUs. Is it just, is another flick of a switch, like we gonna stop enrolling in HBCUs? Like, I feel like it should be consistent if that's your ideology, if that's what you're about, if that's what you love, if that's what you're trying to support, if that's who you're trying to uplift.
Right.
Why is it a date, or why is it a situation or event or a pandemic that changes your mind?
Facts. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that seems a little distasteful to me outside of wanting to support a HBCU. Like, why is it the time? Like, yeah, I would love for you to do that, but why did it take this for you to flip the switch in your head?
So I got a interesting thing I'm gonna add to this then. So everybody's pushing hard about support HBCUs. What happens if, let's say, people of the white community said, hey, we're gonna support HBCUs, and these schools become majority white? Because this push, like, you got these celebrities, you got these like people of all walks trying to push this HBCUs. We got to support our HBCUs. But what happens if it works in a different way where now the people that was supposed to be going to these schools, the black folks, is competing against who would be called minorities, white or any other walk, white, brown people have overrun the schools, and now I can't even, as a black male, or black female, can't get into the school.
So you mean tell me the minorities are becoming minorities in their own school?
I mean, look at
no, that's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Look at this. Look at the facts of it all. It's a lot of people who go to these HBCUs for an advantage. They can't get into the PWIs with a scholarship,
so they go.
So they get a minority scholarship at a HBCU.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. That would be something where that would be tragic.
That's like going to Booker T. Washington High School and it'd be full of white people.
Yeah.
And I know this might not come off great, but I do think that there needs to be some sort of policing for our universities. We cannot allow that to happen.
I mean,
you say that, but
if everybody's yelling for support, right, and we want these HBCUs to live and thrive, it's sort of like another discomforting thing to say we have too many of you, because we would be doing what they did to us.
Right.
So
Facts.
what is the message now? Do I just go back and then forget everything black? Because we tried to support you. We tried to do what you asked us to do. And now we're getting backlash for throwing our PWIs in the trash to come help you. I think
hold up, Ty, before you get there.
Yeah.
Because like you was getting ready to say, don't forget your point.
No, I got you.
Mike got to say something to IBM, don't you?
Oh yeah, I got to apologize to IBM. I got to apologize to IBM. I got to apologize to IBM. Big Blue, former employee. I got to apologize to y'all, man. I was I jumped the gun a little bit when I started reading a little more, doing a little more research, and some of the schools that they picked on that list were actually schools of technology. They did pick Johnson C. Smith and Virginia State, so I got to backtrack that. But I still need y'all to show and prove.
Okay, Ty, back to what you were saying, Ty. I just didn't want him to forget that while we was talking about school.
We've gotten on the topic of race before on the pod, and we pretty much voiced that we need our allies that don't look like us to get us, not to pull us. I don't want to say it like they're pulling us out, but they're helping us to enhance our experience in the United States of America. I'll say it like that. I just feel like it would be not in the best interest of us to police to the point of saying, whoa, that's too much. You know what I'm saying? And we're asking for support. You kind of pick and choose what side you're going to be on. Because if you get a overload of support, it's support. And it's helping us thrive. We still stand on the foundation that we originally stood on.
See, look, you saying it in a nice.
It's just that now we got
nice way, man. Let me say it to y'all.
Oh
man.
yeah.
A lot of y'all blacker than black motherfuckers over here, man. Y'all just lost in the cause because y'all just want y'all. You know what I mean? Like we want support, but it's got to be black support.
Yeah.
Or we want people to like recognize the things that we give to this country, but we only want black people to recognize that what we give to this country. Right. Or we only want black males to signify what the black experience is.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And listen, some of y'all black asses ain't even supporting your own black shit.
But they're gonna be the ones standing up if it's too many Caucasians in the building.
They can stand up and get smacked right the fuck down.
I'm just telling you.
Because y'all want is somebody to give y'all this checkbook, right? They want them to open this checkbook, right? And they want to write this amount of money, this imaginary number, because I don't know what the number is that's gonna satisfy. Because it seems like don't know certain number, like satisfy everybody.
Yeah.
But they want this certain number, and they want these people to sit back, and not say nothing. But they want them to give their money, and they don't want them to announce their money that they're giving. They want them to, like you giving me money and giving me opportunity, but you don't want to have them capitalize on it or feel as if you're being capitalized. And it's like, bruh, like, and no, like, let's be 100. We 15% of this America. 15%. If you only looking at 15%, it ain't enough to satisfy everybody, and that's 50%.
Yeah.
So if you only looking at, and then like if you 15%, you really looking at about 10% that's gonna really be about the action giving back, because 5% ain't.
Yep.
And you're looking at 10% to float this 15% worth, but then you don't want to compromise at all. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I'm the one looking at it the wrong way when I say compromise, but you can't just think that like, oh, well, supporting black business or supporting black schools got to be black people supporting them. Because that's the same mindset of segregation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guess what? No matter if these schools went back to segregation or not, the world that we live in ain't segregated. You got people who think differently, but it ain't segregated. So you're going to have to figure it out one way or another.
And even if we went back that way, we don't have enough support within our own community to even thrive. So what would be the point?
And that's why I was probably being nice when I said 5% ain't even about it.
Man, no, you real nice. That was
I was about to say you real generous with that number.
It's like more like 5% that really about it, and 10% that
Well,
ain't.
you know, I like flat numbers like 5 and 2. So,
but you know them same people that's asking for them numbers on that check, them zeros. Those be the same ones that don't have no plan in their mind whatsoever.
Yeah. And
Like, come with some formulated thought. I'll just leave it like that. Let's start there. Some formulated thought of what would you do or what difference would you make with resources.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I pointed at Mike about the IBM thing, because IBM is giving their money. And we all were saying something. My thing was I wanted to see what this is about. Don't just put it as a blanket thing. Like, oh, inequality.
Right.
Like,
that's vague.
Yeah, that's vague. What do you mean inequality? Inequality in what way? Because it's inequalities within the inequality that's happening.
Yeah.
So you can't just say like, this is gonna get us money inequality.
Yeah.
And the only reason I apologize because I didn't think they actually included the schools that were technology driven, and that's when I had to take back, because I was like, y'all give them to the same damn schools all the time.
Yeah.
But I started looking more, and they actually had a pretty diverse list of schools that a lot of them are technology based and driven. So I had to give my apologies for that. But they still got to show and prove. You just can't write $100 million check and think it's gonna be all gravy. We just gonna forget about shit.
Like, I be seeing stuff, man. People be saying support black businesses, and I be seeing white people supporting these black businesses, and I see people that are black people in their comments saying, "Don't support our shit." What kind of ass backward shit is that?
Yeah.
So you want to drown?
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what they're saying. But I take it a step further, Ty. What you said, those same people are the ones that's going to these white institutions or these white establishments and spending their money all lollygag and like, hey, man, it's cool. Fuck my people. Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, look.
You can't be out here outraged about inequality and diversity, and all of a sudden you're not even supporting your own shit.
Right.
You want to go to Oregon University so you can go play football there and get Jordans and shit.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna have that conversation tonight. We could be all night.
I mean, it just had to be said.
Because there's a lot of these schools, universities is making money off these black kids' backs.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing y'all want to holler is, "Oh, we don't want y'all to stand up and do anything. We just want y'all to shut up and play."
Hey, look, what y'all think of Deion going to this school? I won't gonna bring it up, but I figure at this point, man, I might as well say it. What do you feel about Deion going to coach?
I like it. I just hope that he does right at that university. I'm giving him 3 seasons. I'm giving him 3 seasons to instill a culture that's going to be profitable, not just financially, but culturally for those students that's going there. I hope that he has a coaching staff that's going to be able to raise those men, those young boys to men, and also have them become football stars so that you don't only have the same universities from historic black colleges is always getting talent. There's other schools. He can bring money into the conference. Because FAMU's going to the SWAC now. You got Grambling and Southern in the SWAC still dominating. So he needs to kind of come in and prove, and he doesn't need to make a dog and pony show.
Tyrone, what you think of Deion going to Jackson State? to coach?
I mean, I right now only have a thought. I like the thought because I don't have any actions to kind of figure out what's gonna happen there. So I'm one of the ones. I'm not gonna place too much on it. I'm not gonna place too less on it. I'm gonna let it do what it do, and then I'll voice my opinion then. But I do like the thought of him going to the HBCU and bringing exposure to it. You know what I'm saying? I think that I thought that was very dope of him to make that move. But let's see what he does with it.
You see he got T.O. going with him too.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm gonna stand on it. So it's cool that Deion decided to go. He's gonna take these these other NFL's like important people, I guess. But wouldn't it mean more if he had said, "Hey, look, T.O., I'm gonna take this Jackson State job. You should go try to take another job at Grambling or something. Like, let's bring more exposure to the HBCUs instead of having them all in the same house." So now you recruiting. There's only one school getting all the kids playing against no-star recruits.
Do you think T.O. needs to be groomed in that spot before you shoot him out there?
Deion ain't coached a day in his life.
Deion has more respect.
But do you think he
But
wants
why does Deion have more respect than T.O.?
Come on, man. You know why.
Deion
been smiling and dancing in people's faces for years.
There's a lot of people be smiling and doing all this other shit.
This is true.
There's a lot of y'all out here who praising Deion for what he doing and was so mad about Steve Nash being able to get that job.
So what if the conversation went like this? Hey T.O., come with me over here. Let's figure the system out. Let's figure how we can be effective on this side of the table. Once we figure that out, then you can branch out, or then you can do this, or then
this is why. This is why I said what I said. Because you bring T.O. over with you, right? Who is also not coached. Where you have people who are experienced that you bypassed. Whereas Deion, as a head coach, could have brought in somebody with an experience to be an offensive coordinator for him, or defensive coordinator for him, or lines coach, or somebody who's been experienced in the NFL coaching, and have T.O. who can be a name to bring, because that's what let's be clear. In college, these coaches only brought there for their name. Like, I'm bringing this coach in, the head coach, because the head coach ain't doing but so much. He's just recruiting. So if I can get T.O., who is top 5 receiver at a different school where I got top 5 DB at another HBCU school, and then I could get Terrell Davis or Emmitt Smith or whomever to coach like at a different school, and all of us, because we got plenty of the pick of the litter to get other black offensive coordinators, defense coordinators, because they ain't getting opportunity in the NFL. And they ain't getting opportunity in these PWI schools either.
That's true. But some might not want that.
The only thing I would say before I jump the other side of the fence is there could have possibly been a conversation where Deion made us say, "Hey, why don't we have T.O. over here?" Maybe he had a conversation with a whole completely different entity. Maybe they didn't see T.O. to be fit. All right, well, why don't you take T.O. here and let us watch from afar and see how he does there? Because I don't like jumping to these types of conclusions of why didn't this person go there? This person would definitely be more influential it would definitely bring more notoriety to what we're trying to do, but we got to build upon to make sure we're right. Now, out of all of us, we are judged and looked at by the 10th power. So if we don't do it right, we are much faster to get kicked right back out of that system versus if we were to do it right. So before I jump, that's why I said I want to see what this plays out to be, because a lot of people make plays 10 steps ahead before we as a general population know about what's really, really going on. And then we got to go back and say, oh, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way that's the only reason why I wouldn't jump and say, because I agree with you, we need more people around, because a name like T.O., just like a name like Deion Sanders, makes sense somewhere else. they don't both need to be in the same place. But T.O. could have possibly not passed some type of test for somebody to say, I want him here. And maybe they didn't want to go forward in another location before he got some more understanding. That's the only reason I would say, let's just wait and see what happens before we throw the daggers.
No, I agree with that.
I see your point, but that be the
because
problem.
let's be honest,
the problem with us.
Because
we want to have this fit like to certain moldings, and it's multiple ways to cut. Going back to what I said earlier, there's multiple ways to cut the same cloth.
Yeah.
Just because it don't seem as if it fits the mentality of the school, y'all struggling. Y'all ain't got nobody coming to these schools.
Well, that would go through an athletic director issue.
Yeah, that's the school at that point.
That's the school at that point. Like
That's not.
I would agree with you. I would love to see T.O. at FAMU. I would love to see T.O. at Tuskegee. I love to see T.O. at any HBCU being a coach, not even just a position coach, a head coach. But if the people that don't really necessarily feel he's that material, that's on them. That don't on him. He's got the credentials. You know what I mean? Like he one of the top 5 receivers in the league.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like these places ain't at a place. You're not at a level to be turning down quality.
Think about it. Somebody came to Emmitt Smith today and say, "Hey, Emmitt, we want you to go down to FAMU and be the head coach." If somebody had the gall to ask him, I'm sure he would take that job. We ain't asking them questions. We just trying to give it to anybody that's like, hey, you take the job.
Hey, look, why ain't nobody knocked on Snoop Dogg door yet? Or Luke door for that matter. Because a lot of these kids that have went to date stuff is big time.
Yeah.
Snoop would make an amazing coach, but that's also got to be a want. We don't know if he wants to do that or not.
I mean, I got to imagine that he's got some kind of want because he's got the program.
I would too. But it's a little different managing kids at adolescent age than managing a bunch of high school and college kids.
For the age group he working with.
And that's a lot of commitment too, because you just said they recruiting all year round. You ain't taking no time off.
You really only working 6 months out of the year.
Snoop's still making money, so he can't smoke. Like
why he can't? It's legal in certain places in America.
It is. Ain't no HBCUs in California though.
It ain't, but weed is legal in Chicago, Illinois.
Hey man,
I'm just giving y'all some.
No, I got you.
He could also have people that work with him at these programs too. Y'all could poach some of them people as well.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
True. Yeah.
And the reason why people aren't as outraged about Deion getting a head coach job, Deion applied for that job, and I'm sure they had other people coming in there too.
I mean,
Steve Nash qualified people that have gotten championships that have been coaching.
I was just using that as
no, I don't know, but I just think sometimes like we need things like that to happen. That's how you level the playing field. We need people to make decisions like that.
Yeah.
But to your point, and to you both of y'all's points, if y'all want T.O., go hire him. Don't take everything that you hear from what kind of person he was and just use it against him.
Yeah.
If he wants to coach, let him coach.
But if we don't even if we don't support our own people, bro, like that'd be the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all taking this whole personality shit to a whole different level. Why ain't nobody go talk to Dame Dash to bring him into school? He could teach some entrepreneur shit.
Same shit.
You know what I mean?
Same shit.
We be on some like, oh well, the personality.
Dame's a little too brash. We don't want that much guy. We don't want that much charisma.
I bet he'd be effective though.
Effective?
Man.
I bet he'd be effective.
Bruh, he didn't put a whole bunch of other people on. Who the hell gonna put Murder Mook in the movie? He can't act a damn lick.
Man.
Like, it's just, he putting his people on from Harlem. Like, listen, man. To Bruce's point, we got a disease that we got to figure out on our own. And it's hate within ourselves. And until we fix that, we never gonna go forward as a people.
I work with a lot of motherfuckers I don't like. Don't mean I disrespect them or think that they ain't as good as they are.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like you don't mean that I can't respect what you do as a person. Like, shit, you do some good shit. You a crazy motherfucker, but you do some good shit. Like,
Yeah.
quality.
Right.
And we, our community, we ain't got the luxury to be throwing motherfuckers away for some shit that ain't illegal.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
If we talking about something like if you're a beat up, you a fucked up individual, like because you beat on people or you do something like that's different. But just because you brash or you like to say shit the way you like to say it,
I'm not qualified. He was a good person.
Yeah. I'm not gonna just sit up here and say like, oh, we're gonna throw you away because you said too strong.
Right.
Gary Vee out here being able to say it however he want to fucking say it. He just making money. But Dame Dash said the same shit years ago. Yeah. Y'all threw that motherfucker away.
Mm-hmm.
All because he ain't like Jay-Z, y'all favorite rapper.
I'd love to sit down with Dame Dash though.
I'd love to pick his brain about 5 minutes. Like, fam, just tell me.
It ain't gonna be 5 minutes. He gonna definitely give you a good
30. In theory,
you gonna go in with 5 minutes worth of questions. He gonna give you 30 minutes worth of answers.
He gonna give me an hour and a half. Goddamn, he gonna mess around. He gonna hit me with a little diabetes patch. I ain't even got diabetes, Dane. Why you hit me with the patch? I'm good, man.
Hey, look, he even like I still go back to that. That's how far ahead of the time he is. I still go back to that. Those two podcasts he did with Combat Jack, RIP.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's still so many gems throughout that whole shit. Like, you know, it's very rare that you have somebody who you can look at some shit that's 10 years old almost and still be getting like gems out of it.
You would more be going back for a review versus new stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But you be surprised sometimes you go back and you see something like, damn.
Yeah.
That is new.
Yeah. That too.
Yeah, man. But I mean, this is a good one though. We talked about a lot of good shit.
Definitely talked about a lot of good stuff.
I just wanted to bring up that whole Deion shit. And I know it's current topic. I know Mike gonna kill me when we get off.
No, man. No, because I think that's important to have that conversation because I don't think we had that conversation enough.
We were talking about HBCUs too. I feel like it fit.
It was in line. It was in line. Hey, man, y'all brothers got any last comments y'all want to give to our viewership, listenership?
I talked enough tonight.
Enough tonight.
It's a long.
Everybody wrapping up.
I already know they're gonna be mad about this long.
Everybody wrapping it up. All right, man. Well, this is another installment of the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, episode 40. We made it to the big 40, man. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for riding with us. Thank you for listening, subscribing, liking our comments, posts, pictures on Instagram. For those that are new to us outside of Instagram and social media platform, you can find us on Instagram at Whiskey and Wisdom Pod. You can tweet us at Whiskey WISD1. Also, man, check us out on YouTube. You can screen the podcast from there. You can also listen to it at Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Spotify. But don't forget about our main platform, man. We are online, the World Wide Web. You can get to us at whiskeyandwisdompodcast.com. You can also listen to the podcast there. We got a couple of playlists up there for you too. You can check those out.
Man, I gotta make my playlist soon.
You gotta get up there. Throw yours up there.
That brunch hour coming.
Hour coming.
Oh shit.
Yeah, get ready for that. Also, man, question of the week. We always got that, so participate in that. Drop your comments, drop your likes. Let us know how you feel about that. And until next time, man, listening is learning. And come back next week. We got something else ready for you. Peace.
Peace.
And wear your damn mask. Peace.